Two brothers parked their car after a job and took a moment to relax. Jamie stepped out, let out a long breath, lit a cigarette, then returned to the car. Inside, they quietly enjoyed the success of their recent robbery. Jamie asked Matthias to check the money, and after counting it, they talked about leaving the country soon.
Think we'll have enough for that beach house?
Keep dreaming.
In another part of town, a young doctor named Rach had moved back in with his parents after losing his savings in a lawsuit. His wife, Jan, thanked Rich's mother for giving them a place to stay. She responded kindly, saying the family was always willing to help and that things would eventually get better.
Thank you for letting us stay here. Just a few more months.
Our home is your home.
Rach also tried to thank his father, but his father struggled to hide his disappointment. He had a hard time accepting that his son had lost everything. Rich's parents served lunch and sat with their granddaughter, Riley. They could hear Rach and Jan arguing in the other room. Rachel, Riley's grandmother, told the girl that sometimes adults argue and that it was normal. Meanwhile, Rach and Jan argued about money again, and Rach insisted that he would fix their situation.
I need to know that you're still in this. That I am not doing this on my own.
Later that night, Jamie and Matthias stopped at a gas station to fill up the car. Matthias stayed outside with the pump while Jamie went inside the store. As Jamie picked up a pack of beer and walked around, the cashier recognized him and mentioned that he had gone to school with Matthias.
Just asking.
I went to school with your brother. He was a good kid.
A moment later, Matthias heard a gunshot from inside and rushed in. He saw that Jamie had fired a shot at the cashier and was now holding a woman at gunpoint. Matthias told him to stop and leave, but Jamie refused. He said he saw a chance to get more money and wanted to take it. Jamie threatened the woman and demanded cash, saying the cashier was responsible for whatever happened next.
Please.
Jamie, don't do this.
Please, I won't tell anybody. I won't tell anybody, please.
The cashier refused to cooperate. Jamie started counting down and shot the woman immediately when the cashier did not comply. This pushed the cashier to grab a rifle and fire back, hitting Matthias in the leg. When the rifle ran out of bullets, Jamie shot repeatedly until the cashier collapsed.
Get the money.
Just shut up!
Matthias was furious at Jamie for turning a simple stop into a disaster, but there was no time to argue. They rushed out of the store, got back into the car, and drove away. During dinner, Rich's father, Frank, asked if he could take Riley to practice shooting. Riley became excited and looked to her mother for approval. Frank made a small joke at Rich's expense, saying he would make sure Riley enjoyed herself but could not promise she would become a good shooter, since her father never was. Rich brushed off the comment and dinner continued.
Excuse me, I wasn't that bad. You know that.
Rich then received a call from the hospital saying he was needed, so he got up and left. At the same time, Matthias began bleeding heavily in the car. He and Jamie both realized he needed medical help, but Jamie refused to take him inside a hospital because he feared they would be identified.
You really think they go through all that trouble?
They're gonna be looking for us.
Jamie still drove to the hospital, but kept Matthias in the car. He went inside alone looking for help. He noticed Rich talking with his sister Alice, who was also a doctor. The receptionist told him they were closed for the day, and he walked out without saying anything. Jamie returned to the car and waited until he saw Rich leaving the hospital. He and Matthias then followed Rich's vehicle. As they continued behind him, they noticed that Rich lived in a quiet and isolated area, which worked in their favor. They kept following until they reached his house and learned exactly where he lived.
I haven't seen a house for miles.
Would you go and get Grizzly Adams for a doctor?
When Rich arrived home, Jamie and Matthias stayed far enough away to watch the house without being noticed. Inside, Frank asked Rachel if they had raised their children well, wondering if he was to blame for Rich's troubles. Rachel told him they had done their best, and that was all any parent could do. She encouraged him to support Rich and remind him that he still had his family. Frank agreed, and they hugged before going to bed.
Rich does not need a lecture. He needs you to listen, to be there.
In another room, Rich told Jan that he would fix their situation. He said they only needed to stay with his parents until the end of summer. He planned to start his own practice and rebuild their lives. He reminded her that she and Riley were his priority and that he would do whatever it took to keep them safe. They then went to bed.
But you, Riley, you mean the world to me.
Outside, Jamie decided it was time to act and told Matthias they needed to enter the house. Matthias warned him that he did not want any violence. He only wanted the doctor to treat his injury so they could leave without harming anyone. He made Jamie promise he would not kill anyone. Jamie agreed, and they prepared to move in. Jamie and Matthias entered the house quietly. As they searched the downstairs area, Rachel came down for a glass of water. She almost spotted Matthias, but he hid just in time. While this happened, Jamie had already gone upstairs into Frank and Rachel's bedroom. When Rachel unexpectedly walked in behind him, he panicked and shot her. The noise woke Frank, who jumped out of bed and fought Jamie. Jamie called for Matthias, and Matthias rushed in, knocking Frank unconscious.
Sorry.
The gunshot woke Rich and Jan. Rich went to check the hallway and overheard Jamie and Matthias arguing. Matthias was furious that Jamie had killed someone after promising not to. Jamie insisted it was an accident. Before they noticed him, Rich ran back to the bedroom. He told Jan that intruders were in the house and searched for his gun while Jan ran upstairs to get Riley. Jan reached Riley's room and tried to take her away, but Jamie confronted them in the hallway. Meanwhile, downstairs, Matthias pointed his gun at Rich and told him to stop resisting. Matthias explained that Jamie had Jan and Riley, and if Rich tried anything, they would be hurt. With no choice, Rich set his weapon down.
There's no guarantee what my brother might do.
The intruders gathered the entire family, tied them up, and brought them into the living room. Jamie collected every phone in the house and smashed them so no one could call for help. Matthias then asked him to bring the doctor. Jamie pulled Rich away from the others and brought him over.
Mom, are we gonna be okay? Where's Grandma?
Rich immediately demanded to know where his mother was. Matthias said her death had been an accident. Rich became angry and tried to fight, but Jamie held him back. Matthias explained that they were not there to steal from the family or cause more harm. Rich asked what they wanted, and Matthias said he was losing too much blood and needed medical help.
Somebody to plug this leak, and you're a doctor.
Rich told them he was not the kind of doctor who handled operations like that. Jamie claimed he was lying, pointing out that he had seen Rich discussing a surgery earlier at the hospital. They ordered Rich to perform the procedure. Rich insisted he did not have proper tools for the operation. When he refused, Jamie moved toward Jan, pushing Rich to reconsider.
Wait! There might be a box of tools.
Rich then said there were some supplies in the barn and that he could retrieve them. Jamie took Rich outside to collect the equipment, while Matthias stayed behind to watch over the rest of the family. After Rich and Jamie left, Matthias told the family not to be scared and said he had no intention of hurting them. He mentioned that he once lived in a good home and had a life similar to theirs, trying to show he was not a violent person. Frank did not believe him and insulted him, saying he was far from a good man.
No. Stop. Please don't.
At the barn, Rich gathered the supplies he needed. While he worked, he explained to Jamie that he was living with his parents because he had lost a lawsuit after a patient died during a procedure. Jamie warned him that if he made a mistake this time, the consequences would be much worse than losing a case. They collected the tools and headed back toward the house.
You want me operating on your brother?
No, I'm not. But I guess we're both unlucky tonight.
Inside the house, Jan and Frank quietly worked together to loosen their restraints without letting Matthias notice. On the way back, Rich tried to attack Jamie, but Jamie reacted quickly and beat him down. Jamie then forced Rich back into the house and reunited him with the others.
Don't do anything else they say. You understand?
Rich went to speak with his family for a moment. Frank warned him not to follow the intruders' demands and said they needed to take control if they wanted to survive. Meanwhile, Jamie told Matthias that help was on the way and called for Rich to begin the operation. They secured Matthias to a table, and Rich prepared to treat his wound.
I'm gonna need some help. Would you grab my wife?
Not a chance.
Rich asked Jamie to bring Jan so she could help hold Matthias during the procedure, but Jamie refused and brought Frank instead. Frank and Jamie held Matthias down while Rich worked on the wound. When Rich cut into the injury, Matthias screamed, and Rich managed to remove the bullet and clamp the damaged artery. He warned Jamie that the fix was only temporary.
We're good?
I still gotta sew him up. Clamps just hold me together for now.
During the operation, Frank grabbed a knife and tried to attack Jamie. The two ran into another room and began fighting. Jamie overpowered him and cut him with the knife, but Frank pushed him away and escaped into the forest. Jamie followed with a rifle and fired at him, but Frank managed to hide and survive. While Jamie was outside searching, Riley helped Jan get free, and Rich looked for a key to remove his restraints. When Jamie realized Frank was gone, he rushed back to the house and saw that Jan had freed herself and was trying to call emergency services with a phone she had found. He hit her and aimed his gun at her. Rich then grabbed a knife and threatened to kill Matthias unless Jamie stopped. Jamie reacted immediately and shot Rich. He told Rich that the operation would continue whether he liked it or not. Jamie tied Jan and Riley again. When Jamie returned to the operating table, he realized Rich had slipped away. He ran outside to search for him. While Jamie was distracted, Rich quietly went back into the house. He untied Jan and Riley and told them to run, hide somewhere safe, and not come out until he returned for them. Jan and Riley escaped into the night. When Jamie came back inside and saw they were gone, he became angry and returned to Matthias. He tried to wake him. Matthias asked whether the procedure was finished. Jamie told him the family had escaped. Matthias seemed ready to give up, but Jamie insisted he would fix everything. He said they would go to Mexico and start a better life.
Beach house. Remember? Yeah. We're going, no matter what.
Outside, Frank broke down in tears, overwhelmed by the loss of his wife. Frank eventually returned to the house. He cleaned his wound as best as he could and took a moment to say goodbye to his wife. While doing this, he saw Rich limping outside. Frank hurried to him and helped him reach a safer spot.
Hey.
Matthias later learned that Jamie had shot the doctor and became furious. Jamie tried to calm him, but Matthias was losing patience. Meanwhile, Frank began treating Rich's wound. He gathered what he could find, including peroxide and a small stitching kit. He cleaned the injury and encouraged Rich to keep fighting, saying they would make it through. Frank held a mirror so Rich could see what he was doing while he stitched himself.
And?
Okay.
Peroxide? Yes?
Get an exit wound.
What?
Sew it up.
Inside the house, Jamie suggested he could finish the operation for Matthias, but Matthias refused and insisted they still needed the doctor alive. Outside, Rich finished stitching his wound, and both he and Frank rested for a moment, relieved to have survived another step.
I always wondered what it felt like.
When the sun came up, Jamie woke from a short nap and realized morning had arrived. He began to panic. Matthias told him it was too late and said he should take the money and drive to the border without him. Jamie cried and said he would not abandon him. He went outside to search for Rich so the operation could be finished.
I'm not leaving. I'm never gonna leave you.
In the room where Frank and Rich were hiding, Frank woke up and noticed Jamie was nearby, looking for them. He gently woke Rich and told him something he had never said clearly before. He said he had always been proud of him and apologized for being a difficult father. He told Rich he loved him, said he was a far better parent than he had ever been, and reminded him he was doing a good job with Riley. Frank then left to draw Jamie away and give Rich a chance to survive.
Sorry, I was such a hard-ass bastard.
When Jamie stepped into the room and looked around, Rich rushed him from behind and struck him in the head. Rich ran out immediately without stopping. Jamie got back on his feet and chased after him. While running through the trees, Jamie heard a car engine. It was Frank, trying to pull him in another direction. Jamie jumped into the other car and went after him. He chased Frank through the forest road until Frank reached a dead end. Frank left the car and ran into the woods. Jamie fired at him while following, but Frank escaped again. Jamie then gave up the chase and drove back to the house. During this time, Rich searched for Jan and Riley and found them. Jan hugged him tightly, relieved that he was alive. Their reunion lasted only a moment before Jamie appeared, struck Rich from behind, and knocked him unconscious. When Rich regained consciousness, he saw that he was tied up in the living room again, with Jan beside him. Jamie went to Matthias and told him he had brought the doctor back and that everything would turn out fine. Matthias, exhausted and in pain, said he regretted everything. He said they never should have come to the house and that he should have stopped Jamie back at the gas station.
I shouldn't have let you kill that girl.
Matthias then told Jamie to take Jan to another room and bring Rich to continue the operation. Jamie followed the instruction. Rich did his best to treat Matthias, but Matthias became weaker by the minute. Despite Rich's efforts, Matthias died on the table. Jamie collapsed in grief. He screamed and cried uncontrollably as he held his brother, overwhelmed by the loss.
No!
While this was happening, Frank slipped back into the house and untied Jan. At the same time, Jamie aimed his gun at Rich, blaming him for Matthias's death. Jan appeared with a rifle. She fired, but missed, then ran outside as Jamie chased her and shot in her direction. Inside, Rich managed to grab Jamie's other gun and freed himself. He ran outside and fired at Jamie. Jamie shot back, but missed. Wounded and bleeding heavily, Jamie stumbled toward the house and returned to Matthias's body. He looked at his brother and thought about the future they had imagined together.
We're going, no matter what.
Rich approached from behind and shot him again, ending it. Jamie collapsed onto Matthias. Outside, Jan called out for Riley. When Rich stepped out of the house, Jan ran to him and hugged him. Riley soon joined them, and the three held on to each other, relieved that they had survived the night.